Hey everybody, so in this video we're going to be talking about factoring trinomials. So remember, trinomial just means that it's a polynomial with 3 terms. Alright, we're going to be doing that using the AC method, or you'll also hear me refer to this as split B. So here are the steps to that. The first step is going to be making an AC chart. So an AC chart looks like this. It's going to have A and C. They're multiplied on one side. It's going to have B on the other. These A, B, and C are coming from this right here. So ax squared plus bx plus c. That just means that the a is going to be with the x squared, the b is going to be with just the x, and c is going to be the number at the end. So in our case, a times c, a is 1, b is 12, c is 20, so 1 times 20 is 20. B is just 12. Now the next thing that we need to do is we need to find all of the factors of 20. So we have 1 and 20, 2 and 10, 4 and 5. Now, this is normally the part where we would talk about signs. However, since everything in this problem has been positive so far, we're just going to make everything positive. And in the next example, when everything's not positive, we'll talk about how to deal with signs right here. And then we add each of these 3 rows up. So 1 plus 20 would be 21, 2 plus 10 would be 12, 4 plus 5 would be 9. Now what we're looking for is the one that matches our B. So our B was 12, so the 12 is the one that we're looking for. And in particular, we care about this 2 and 10. So those factors are what we're actually looking for and why we made the chart. So step 2 is to split B into your 2 factors. So by that, I mean we're going to take this 12x and we're going to split it into 2x and 10x, the 2 factors that we found. The x squared is just going to come straight down, and the 12x will become 2x and 10x. And the 20 also just came straight down. Now, the reason that we do this is it is now 4 terms. If it's 4 terms, then we know how to factor that already. That's grouping. So step 3, factor by grouping. So we're going to group our first 2 terms and our second 2 terms, our last 2 terms. For the first 2 terms, the GCF is x. So if we take out that x, it's going to be x times x plus 2. For our last 2 terms, GCF is 10. So if we take out the 10, it's going to be also 10 times x plus 2. Our insides match. So as long as our insides match, it's x plus 2, x plus 10. And that would be our answer. And you can check this by actually foiling this out, and you should get the x squared plus 12x plus 20 that we started with. All right, example 2. Again, we start out by making our chart. In this case, A is 1, C is 24, so A times C will be 24, and B is negative 10. So we're going to do all the factors of 24. 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, 4 and 6. Now remember, we're trying to get these to add up to get b, which is negative. The only way for two numbers to add up to be negative is if the bigger number is negative. So, in order to do this, the sign of the bigger number should always match b. Just think b for bigger. All right, so if if b is negative, the bigger one should always be negative. If b was positive, the bigger would be positive. Now remember, they also needed to multiply to get that 24. Since 24 is positive, the only way to multiply and get a positive number is if the signs match. Right now, the signs don't match, so to fix that, we're just going to make the smaller numbers negative as well. Once that's done, we can go ahead and add these up. So negative 1 plus negative 24 will get us negative 25. Negative 2 minus 12 would be negative 14. Negative 3 minus 8 would be negative 11. And negative 4 minus 6 would be negative 10. So the negative 10 is the one we're looking for, so negative 4 and negative 6 are our factors. And we go ahead and split b. So the x squared comes down, then we have minus 4x minus 6x plus 24 also comes down. And then we can group this. So for the first group, the GCF is x. So we have x times x minus 4. For the second group, the GCF is going to be negative 6. Don't forget about that negative since the leading term for that group is negative. And we're going to end up with negative 6 times x minus 4. Insides match, so we're going to have x minus 4 times x minus 6. And that's our answer. All right, for example 3. So if we start off with the chart, a times c would be 1 times negative 6, which is going to get us negative 6, and b is negative 5. So factors of 6 are 1 and 6, 2 and 3. Remember, the sign of the bigger number is going to match the sign of b. b is negative, so we're going to make all the bigger numbers negative. Now in this case, we want them to multiply to get a negative. To multiply to get a negative, the signs of our numbers need to be opposites. Since they're already opposites, we don't have to worry about changing the sign of the smaller number. They're already the correct signs now. So we can just go ahead and add these up. 1 minus 6 is going to get us negative 5. 2 minus 3 will get us negative 1. So the 1 minus 6 that got us negative 5, those are our two factors. And we can go ahead and split b. So we're going to get x squared plus x minus 6x minus 6. And we can go ahead and group now. So for the first group, the GCF is x. And if we factor that out, we get x times x plus 1. For the second group, the GCF is negative 6. And if we factor that out, we get negative 6 times x plus 1. Insides match, so we get x plus 1 times x minus 6. All right, on to number 4. So, start with the chart, ACB. 1 times 4 is 4, and B is 4. And notice I'm doing this the same exact way. Even though there's 2 variables now, the steps are all going to be the exact same. It's just going to make our GCF have 2 different variables later. So, if AC is 4, then 1 and 4 and 2 and 2 are 2 sets of factors. Now remember, if everything was positive, we don't have to worry about changing the signs at all. We can just go ahead and add these up. 1 plus 4 is 5, 2 plus 2 is 4. So the 2 and 2 are the factors that we want. So we can go ahead and split that middle term. So we're going to get x squared plus 2xy, because the middle term had xy, so we want to make sure we keep those same variables. And plus 2xy again, and plus 4y squared at the end. And then we can go ahead and group this. So for the first group, just x is going to be the GCF. So we have x times x plus 2y. For the second group, we have 2y as our GCF. So we have plus 2y times x plus 2y. Insides match, which means insides go in 1, so x plus 2y. And in this case, the leftovers are also x plus 2y. So since these are the exact same this time, we can actually write this as x plus 2y squared. All right, example 5. So starting with the chart, A times C would be 2 times 12, which is going to be 24. And B is 11. So factors of 24 are 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, and 4 and 6. Everything was positive, so we leave everything positive, and we just add them up. So 1 plus 24 is 25, 2 plus 12 is 14, 3 plus 8 is 11, and 4 plus 6 is 10. So the 3 and 8 are the factors that we want. So we're going to go ahead and split B into those. So we get 2x squared plus 3x plus 8x plus 12. First group, second group. GC of the first group is just going to be x. So we end up with x times 2x plus 3. GCF of the second group would be 4. So we're going to have plus 4 times 2x plus 3. Insides match. So we're going to have 2x plus 3 times x plus 4. Last one. So we're going to have AC and B. A times C would be 3 times 5, which is 15. And B would be negative 16. So the factors of 15 would be 1 and 15, 3 and 5, and that's it. The bigger number has to match the sign of B. So since B is negative, we're going to make the bigger numbers negative. Now, AC is positive, which means we want them to be the same sign. So they all need to be negative. So negative 1 minus 15 is negative 16, and negative 3 minus 5 is negative 8. So the negative 1 and negative 5 are the ones that we want. So we go ahead and split b into those numbers. So we're going to get 3x squared minus 1x, or just x, minus 15x plus 5. And then we can go ahead and split these into groups again. So for the first group, the GCF is x. So we're going to end up with x times 3x minus 1. For the second group, we're going to have negative 5 as our GCF. So it's going to be negative 5 times 3x minus 1. Again, the insides are going to match. So since the insides match, we're going to have 3x minus 1 times x minus 5, and that'll be our answer. And these are the first 6 examples, but there will be a part 2 to this video, which will give you some more as well.